Andrei Minkov, the founder of Trademark Factory that offers trademarking services with a predictable result for a predictable budget. We're the only firm in the world where licensed lawyers and registered trademark agents will help you trademark your brands with a free comprehensive trademark search for a single all-inclusive flat fee with a 100% money-back guarantee. And today's question I'm going to answer is, what is Uniform Domain Name Resolution Policy, or UDRP? So UDRP, or Uniform Domain Name Resolution Policy, is this procedure that allows trademark owners to take a domain name that was registered by somebody else in bad faith. So if you own a trademark, and I'll get to that in a moment as to what kind of trademark it can be, and somebody else knows your brand and they got the domain name that's confusingly similar with your brand and they registered it in bad faith, this procedure allows you to have that domain name transferred over to you without you having to go to court, without you spending years and years and years litigating this, or without you having to spend tens and tens of thousands of dollars to get it. So a few things that I will mention about the process. First of all, what kind of trademark? It doesn't matter in which country your trademark is registered. So as long as you have a trademark, and it doesn't really even have to be a registered trademark. So if you have sufficient business presence in a jurisdiction that recognizes unregistered trademarks, and you may want to go back to one of the videos in the list where I'm actually explaining what unregistered trademarks are and which jurisdictions recognize them. So if you're well known in that jurisdiction that does recognize unregistered trademarks, you can use your Uniform Domain Name Resolution Policy, but the vast majority of cases, and especially those where the complainant, the trademark owner, was successful, the trademark owner had a registered trademark at least in one jurisdiction, and it has to be a legitimate trademark registration. So that's linked to a real business. So you can't just go and register your trademark in one of those jurisdictions that allow you to quickly and easily get a trademark, even if you have no plans of doing business there. It has to be a legitimate registration. Now, the domain name, so that UDRP allows you to go after, is basically every common domain name out there. So the .coms, the .nets, the .org, some of the new ones. Many countries have their own national rules that are similar. They're not identical. So for example, .ca for Canada has somewhat similar but not identical rules about what can be done. Many other national registries have similar rules. Some of them have no rules like this. But this video is just about the common ones, right? So the .com, the .net, the .orgs of the world. So if somebody registered a domain name that's confusingly similar with your trademark, you can go after them with UDRP. Now, the important thing is that the domain name must have been registered in bad faith. So somebody who did it knew about your brand, and they registered the trademark either in order to sell it to you or in order to prevent you from reflecting your brand in that domain name. Right? So, but it's something that you need to prove, and what matters is that the domain name must have been registered after you had your rights to the trademark. And I will share a few stories about this. Why don't I share a story right now? So Trademark Factory is a good example. When I came up with a name, the .com was already taken. It wasn't used, nobody was using it, but somebody registered that domain name. And at that point, I got the .ca, so trademarkfactory.ca. We're starting in Canada. Most of the business at that point was coming from Canada, so we got the .ca. And I wrote to the domain name owner and said, well, would you be willing to let go of the .com? and they wanted to get some ridiculous, at that point I thought it was ridiculous amount of money, because I wasn't sure if the brand is going to stick. And next year, when I realized that what I built was a viable business with a great model that a lot of business owners, not just from Canada but from around the world, want to use to get their trademarks registered, I realized there's a lot of value in the brand. So I wrote to them again and never heard back. And then I wrote again and never heard back. And so what I was looking at that point is, when is the domain name registration going to expire? And about a month before the expiration date for the domain name registration, I started getting all of those emails from a ton of registrars. This domain name is just about to expire. Would you be willing to do a back order and start this auction to get the domain name? So what I did is I called my own registrar and I said, look, there's this domain name, the .com, that's going to become available. I want to make sure that I end up the one getting it. And there's this procedure that allows you to back order. So I did that, and in order to go through the process of this back ordering, you're supposed to give a bid. What's the maximum amount you're willing to pay to the registrar if there is a bidding war for the domain name? And I said $1,500. And it's like, why $1,500? Is this brand not worth more? I said, of course it's worth more. Of course it's worth a lot more, but $1,500 is what it will cost me to take this domain name through the Uniform Domain Name Resolution Policy from anybody other than the current owner. So the only person I couldn't go after was the guy who registered the domain name trademarkfactory.com before I registered my trademark, before I started having rights in my trademark. So they were the only ones I couldn't go after, but by registering my trademark, I became the market of one for them. Because if they were to sell the domain name to anybody else, I could use Uniform Domain Name Resolution Policy to take that domain name from the new buyer like this. And we've actually used this strategy many times, helping our clients negotiate domain name transfers, because here's the thing. If somebody took your domain name and they were there first, right, you can't use Uniform Domain Name Resolution Policy against them. But they're not really using the brand. There's nothing on the website, it's just a parking page. They're sitting on it. And so you go to them and say, look, you can't sell it to anybody other than us. Let's be reasonable. Let's come up with a way to make you happy and make us happy. And that worked more than once. So here's another reason to register your trademarks. So importantly, again, remember, in order for this to work, the trademark must have been registered in bad faith. So if somebody has a similar trademark in a completely different industry, you can't use UDRP against them. Or if they have some legitimate reason to be able to use that brand or reflect that brand in their domain name, again, you can't use it. So for example, if same name, let's say somebody's got a trademark in US and somebody's got a trademark in France, right? Just because these are different countries doesn't mean that one is better than the other, right? So you only can use it in limited amount of circumstances where it's easy for you to prove that the domain name was registered in bad faith. There's a list of reasons that fall under that definition. If you need more specific help, we're happy to consult you in this. But again, 3 requirements. You must be the owner of a trademark. The trademark must be confusingly similar with a domain name registered by somebody else, and that domain name must have been registered by them in bad faith. This is just one of many short videos where I'm providing specific, no BS answers to your questions about trademarks. So subscribe now and get notified whenever the next video goes live. No, I mean it. Just click the button right here that says subscribe and subscribe. Have you subscribed yet? Thank you. And if you have a brand that you want to protect, make sure that you go to freetmsearch.com and fill out the form and have us do a free trademark search for you and prepare the report. and walk you through that and tell you exactly whether or not your brand is trademarkable. In Canada, US, European Union, Australia, and we're adding new countries. So make sure that you take us up on it and check if your brand is trademarkable.